Hello everyone, welcome back. It is I, your friendly neighborhood Prax, who did not make a total mess in the morning, afternoon time. And this is my mom. And we do these cooking streams. And this is going to be a cooking stream day. Hi Ice Bunny, welcome in. We are here to do some fun and have some wonderful times. Welcome all of the fun times. And you can see we got a stylish upgrade over the holiday. Like, we're looking good. We're looking good. My sister helped us look all professional. But today, what are we making today, Mom?
We're going to do some pre-Mardi Gras food, New Orleans specials, jambalaya, chicken jambalaya and sausage, and bread pudding.
Bread pudding, yay. So we're going to get started. We're going to make some bread pudding first, because that's got to go in the oven. And then we'll make the jambalaya while the bread pudding is cooking, so that the jambalaya is done, and then the bread pudding are done. And we have dinner and dessert.
Sounds good.
Sound like a plan?
And there might be adult beverages somewhere in there.
Theoretically. We are not encouraging anyone to imbibe against TOS.
Right. Coffee's an adult beverage.
Coffee is an adult beverage, and caffeine is important for people, particularly today, because it is cold. And it's like real cold. I don't like the cold setup. I don't like any of that. But we're here. We're going to have some fun. We're going to just, enjoy life to the fullest. So, let's get this party started.
Absolutely. Take it away. Where would you like to start?
But we are ready to do this. Hey Hawkeye, welcome in, Crit. How we doing? We're gonna set things up. I got that one set up. But
This one's for your apples.
yeah, it's for the apples. So we should get started. You can see we have this wonderful cookbook that my mother got many years ago. The Commander's Palace New Orleans Cookbook. Am I correct in saying, as I said yesterday on stream, that Commander's Palace is your favorite restaurant on this continent?
Yes.
I did not say your favorite restaurant in the world,
No.
just on this continent.
Yeah, absolutely.
And this is, as you can see, do not be afraid, like this is a skill I had to learn from my mother, to not be afraid to write in your cookbooks.
Took me a long time to get there, to be willing to do that.
But this way you have a record of all of the changes you make, all of the way things worked, the way things didn't work. Because a cookbook is like someone's writing down a method, right?
Right.
But that method has to be adjusted for your kitchen, your humidity, your elevation, your...
Right, your ingredients,
Yes.
if you have different ingredients and you substituted, you want to note that. And also, ideally, you put the date down when you made these notes. I know I did this 2 different times because one set of notes is in blue and one set of notes is in black, but I forgot to put a date on these, so, oh well.
It is indeed a thing. Oh, but wait, we need to bring pretzel back. I figured out how we're going to do pretzel. So let me know if the pretzel gets too loud, but it should just be background noise at this point. There we go. So this is also, I should say, legitimately one of my father's favorite desserts of all time.
Yes, absolutely.
So
And that says a lot considering he's a chocoholic.
yeah, and it doesn't have any chocolate in it. I mean, I guess you could put chocolate in it.
You could throw chocolate chips or something in there, or cocoa or whatever.
Yeah.
But
But we're not doing that today.
no, that's an experiment for a different day.
Yes, indeedy. Instead, we're going to use these. This beauty right here. See this? See this beautiful, beautiful thing? This is a Honeycrisp apple, and it is massive. It is literally... Oops. Like, bigger than it's the size of a softball.
Or bigger.
Or, no, it's the size of a softball.
Is it? Okay, I never played, so.
It's the size of a softball. I did play. I played second base. I can tell you that it is the size of a softball. Also is the weight of a softball. So that will be very good going in our bread pudding that we're going to make. We also are making another little change in this recipe, as I slide the cookbook over here so that it's still available to us, but a little out of the way, in that we're going to make themselves individual servings. Because otherwise...
Right. Yeah.
Otherwise, this recipe serves 8.
Yes. Yes.
And,
I will tell you that I have made the recipe for a dinner party for 8. And I think I actually used 2 of those glass pans.
Yeah.
13 by 9 pans. Because I hate to run out of food. And I think people did lick the platter clean, so to speak.
well, that's good. So yes. So that is what is on the menu today, as we sit here and vamp for the camera. But, why, may I ask Mother kindly, if you will peel.
Yep.
We're gonna peel and then.
We're gonna chunk.
Yeah. Okay. I don't think we need the. So sometimes when I cook with apples, we use this. This is a toy that's a lot of fun. Is a big toy that's a lot of fun. But I think we should peel first and then, because we don't want the peel in this.
No, but it's actually.
Yeah, I don't think we need this at all today. That's what I'm saying. Peel and then just chop them, rough chop, right?
Well, what I'm thinking is, because this is so huge, you want it in smaller pieces to make it a little neater. So let's start with
The peeler.
a knife.
Oh, okay. So you're gonna cut instead before peeling.
Yes, because I can't. That's too big for my hand. I can't hold it.
Oh, well, there we go. That explains things. All right.
How about we start with
Washing the apple, even though you're going to then peel it, which is also important.
right? Because I've read recently that you should wash something before you cut it, because if there is anything on the skin, it's going to get on your knife, and then as you cut, it's going to get in your food.
So Mom's gonna prep that, and while Mom does that,
She's going to do the easy stuff.
well, do you want to trade?
Go ahead.
I am going to prep the baguette. This is literally, because we're doing it as a half motion. No, Kelly. Why would we add burnt Jell-O to anything? Hi, Kelly.
Hi, Kelly.
Nice funny said, you broke the apple slicer once on raw. Oh, I've actually done that. Exactly. Wash the banana before you peel it. Wash the apples before you peel them.
Avocados, any of that.
All that works. No, Kelly, we're not adding burnt Jell-O to anything.
How do you burn Jell-O?
Don't ask. It's Kelly.
That's a talent, Kelly. Is that on your resume too? Besides opera singer extraordinaire, burns Jell-O. Just asking. By the way, invest in a good peeler.
Yes. A peeler, like, there are some utensils that you should absolutely invest in. A peeler, you might get more work with the Jell-O. I mean, look, it's a thing. But yes. So this is a little demi baguette that you could buy a real baguette. You can do the take and bakes. This is just one of the take and bakes, and because we're halving the recipe, which is like huge amount, I was like, we only need a little demi baguette. Take and bake, done. Perfect amount of bread. I'm not letting it sit for a day to get stale, which is what you're supposed to do, but why do anything the easy way, right? Cut it in 6 to make a demi semi-handle. This is why we are friends, Kelly. Cut it into sixths and make it a demi, semi, hemi baguette.
I'm impressed. I don't think I could have done that math that quickly. So Kelly, are we expecting you for dessert or dinner or something?
Isn't Kelly at work? Kelly might be at work.
Just teasing.
Now the other advantage to using a really good, hold on a sec, we'll be right back.
But not the silver wing. Yes, everything. As long as there's.
We're putting things away for the unchristmasing is still continuing. If you see anything that I've posted on Twitter or on Hive or Instagram, you will know that we do Christmas a lot in our house. So while Mom and I are cooking, Dad is continuing the unchristmasing event. Which, by the way, you should always take the opportunity to taste all of your ingredients as you go.
Especially bread. Delicious, slightly sourdough. Delicious sourdough bread.
Mm-hmm. Now I'm just chunking this because instead of, like we did this in pans, like the glass pans, you would just leave the slices and then arrange the slices flat. But because we're going to use the little ramekin ones, I'm just chunking them.
Actually, last spring when I was in New Orleans, and I had a chance to go to the New Orleans School of Cooking.
Which is a great place, by the way, and you should totally go because they make this great thing called Joe Stuff.
Right.
Hashtag not sponsored, but Joe Stuff.
Yeah. Anyway, they actually tore the bread into chunks. You can do lots of things.
Joe Stuff. It's
Available
only
by mail order.
Available by my mail order, but only through the New Orleans School of Cooking. They also make, because we have to be on brand in Pea's world, Joe's Hot Stuff. For reasons. But yeah. Yeah, you can, ideally you could also tear it. I'm trying to be a little, pretending that I'm being neat. It's not working.
Well, remember, bread pudding is a lot to use up leftover bread. So if it's neat, it's neat. If it's not, it's not. But one of the reasons to choose chunks versus slices is that it cooks a little, it absorbs a little better. Well, it cooks a little better. But the other thing is, when you put it in a dish to try to eat it, it's easier to pick up the chunk than to break the slice, because you're usually eating it with a spoon. Just saying. Having done things both ways.
And so for those of you who don't know what bread pudding is, it's like a cross between a French toast and a...
Well, it's French toast with custard around it.
It's a French toast custard. And you can add... The next best bit is the whiskey sauce.
Mm-hmm.
Excuse me. That is IP Pizza Land here.
We have taught people this really important Italian phrase. Have we not? In a previous session, but...
I don't think we have. I mean, Pizza Land is Pizza Land. It's what you need.
It means you're picking at things. And usually used derogatorily by Nonna when you're...
in her way.
In her... Or sticking your hands in to taste while she's cooking and stuff's not done.
So, we have bread. We have apples. Should I add some,
What?
I don't think we have any brandy. Otherwise, I would brandy the apples.
Yeah, we're good. Just gonna put whiskey sauce on top.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
And you don't want too much liquid in here.
No, we don't. We don't want a lot of liquid because we want to turn it into a very nice thing. Yeah, Ice Bunny, you are correct. Christmas lasts until it stops. But in right now it's carnival season, right? And as we were talking yesterday, carnival season lasts until Mardi Gras, which is the end of carnival season, because it's the day before Ash Wednesday, when you have to go into Lent and not be partying anymore. Okay.
And if you've ever been in New Orleans for Mardi Gras, it's kind of fascinating the way the town just shuts down at midnight.
And if you watch the videos, you can see, like, there are old episodes of the TV show Cops, which go to New Orleans, and literally they are, the minute midnight strikes, all of the bars close, all the restaurants close, and you just see the cops just kind of come out and start pushing people out of the streets. Because Mardi Gras lasts until midnight on Ash Wednesday, but the minute Ash Wednesday goes, the party's over, and
Midnight on Fat Tuesday. 12:01 becomes Ash Wednesday.
Yeah. I'm creaming butter, or in this case, butter substitute, and sugar. Oh, also in this case, I should use the actual sugar for this, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Or you could use brown.
Huh?
Brown. Or you could use brown sugar.
Or you could use brown sugar. So what we are not using at this stage is what we will be using at a later stage. Use a spoon as I put it around here.
Certainly.
Alright. So we're having this recipe, so instead of a full stick of butter, it's half a stick of butter and half a stick of sugar. That makes life easy when those measurements do not work out that way. Also, Bella just opened an eye, looked at me, and was like, nah, I'm good.
She might be here later for scraps, but
Nah, I mean, she's pretty much, I'm good. And here's the other thing you ideally want to do whenever you're baking, in particular. You want to take everything out so that your butter, dairy, and eggs are all at room temperature, so that they all combine faster and easier, and don't have don't take forever to do what you want, which in this case is going to be creaming the butter and sugar.
they play nice in the bowl.
I got rid of all the muffins. That was, I think I did, apparently. But we have others. We have more muffins. There are always more muffins in this house, right, Mama?
Mm-hmm. And you could actually use those today if you needed to.
Yeah, but they're the stylish one.
Okay. And here we have cut up one of those apples. I haven't chopped it very carefully.
No, but it is very neat, right? Like, those are going to be good. I think we only need one.
Yeah. Yeah, given the size of this apple, one is plenty.
Oh, but these are good. This is a honey
Note to
crisp.
self, remove utensils before throwing things out.
See? We all do things like that. But It's a very nice Honeycrisp apple. Now, if you don't know what a Honeycrisp, how do you describe a Honeycrisp apple, Mama?
It's kind of looks like a blend of a couple different ones. It's part delicious, part golden delicious, part.
I mean, it's a nice firm
Fuji
texture,
yeah.
so you can bake with it really well. But it is also a little sweet and just the littlest bit tart.
Good for cooking and eating.
Yep, good for cooking and eating. Mardi Gras parade years ago, and I thought the floats were really pretty. German floats are ugly, but the street carnival is little, so they don't go pretty, and Denmark has no parades. Yeah, that sounds. I'm sorry.
It's Mardi Gras in New Orleans is the only place you will see adults mug little kids for
X.
10 cents worth of beans.
Beads. We did mention that perhaps bragging about your bead collection as an adult from Mardi Gras is. Well, it has a different meaning than most people expect.
The things you put around your neck, multicolored. Next.
I'm creaming butter and sugar.
Okey-dokey.
And I double check my measurements. And then we need the over there as I slide in here so you can watch me make cream butter and sugar. Yes, AutoMod has been a little weird lately, like the last couple days. It was, don't know why it grabbed the word parade, but apparently it did. So what's up next, Mom, after I cream butter and sugar?
Eggs, cream, cinnamon, vanilla, and raisins, but we're using craisins.
Yep, we're going to use craisins instead, because I like craisins much more than raisins.
And what are you doing for cream instead of using goat milk?
We're going to use the goat's milk, yep.
Okay.
It's going to have we're going to need,
Have a creamier texture.
because it does have a creamier texture than the oat milk. But I would still use a little bit less. Yeah, it's on the counter. I would still recommend using a little bit less, right, Mom? Because from the amount of cream, because cream is a thicker, so the volume of liquid is going to be different, and I just don't feel like there are ways to turn milk into cream.
Well, actually, I just read that this morning. Butter and whole milk, but 1/3 to 2/3. But since we don't have whole milk, it's going to be this.
Yep.
Okay. So
I mean, technically it's whole goat milk.
I'm just cutting this stuff in half.
Yeah, we're having the whole recipe. And you'll notice that I'm using a much bigger bowl than I actually need for this, because everything will be going into the wet ingredients. And yes, sugar is a wet ingredient.
Okay.
What? Sugar is a wet ingredient when it comes to baking.
Okay. I wasn't aware of that. Most of the time people tell you to
No, because when you cream butter and sugar,
then it becomes
butter's a wet ingredient, and you
oh,
know.
look at that! You rolled up so nicely.
You blow it in half again, so it can.
Comme ça?
Yeah, I need it out of my way.
Okay.
Thank you.
By the way, remember when you're pouring into liquid measure to do it at eye level, because remember chemistry, the way liquid kind of settles, there's a meniscus, is that what the word is?
The arms, my mom does that. Yep.
We're full of trivia around here.
But the thing about butter, or about sugar being a wet ingredient, is because you don't add it, you don't mix it with the butter, or you don't mix it with the flour when you're baking. It's always into the butter to cream it.
Okay.
So this is almost fluffy, right, Mom?
Yep. Well, the point is to incorporate the sugar as much as possible and to get rid of any lumps, if you will, in the butter.
Get rid of any
So that
lumps.
it's smooth.
Smooth it out. Now this will look like if you were doing this with regular. I'm gonna switch this for a second. If you were doing this like at home with white sugar, this would be a lot fluffier, a lot lighter. But we're using
Sorry, I moved it.
golden sugar, which is literally the same thing. It's just less processed. It also is costless. So it just means it will melt the same, it cooks the same, it tastes the same. It's just.
By the way, we are brand agnostic when it comes to sugar. The house brand from your local grocery store is just fine. We just happen to choose the name brand here because the store brand didn't have golden sugar, which is what we wanted.
No, Ice Bunny, it's all cane sugar. It's just, so, if you know what molasses is, it's all cane sugar. It's just this is cane sugar that hasn't been bleached, right? Like white sugar is cane sugar that's been processed and processed and processed so it turns white, versus golden sugar, which is cane sugar that has just been processed just enough to make it into a sugar, and therefore isn't as processed as much as the white sugar. So it retains.
It's more
It retains
flavor
more
from the cane.
It retains more of the flavor from the cane. It also retains. It's less processed, which is a little bit better health-wise for people. It's also less expensive because it's less processed. It doesn't have to go through as many steps in the production manufacture. But because it's just that littlest bit stays a little bit yellow, just the same as if you had like molasses, which is from the cane. Or light molasses, not dark molasses. All right. Next step, Mom. I keep walking away with muffins. So we've creamed together the sugar. We get to add the eggs, cream, cinnamon, and vanilla.
Yep. Hey.
They're right here.
Okay.
So fun.
This is the cinnamon I was looking for.
Mm-hmm.
I thought, okay, you didn't take it out yet.
No, I did not get to the cinnamon yet. Yep. So, also usually if you're baking with apples, they say to put a little lemon juice in them to prevent them from browning. We don't care at this stage, and actually you would prefer not to put lemon juice in this because it curdle.
Everything else curdle.
Oh, so Ice Bunny is saying that in white sugar in Denmark comes from sugar beets, which makes sense. But no, it's cane sugar. It's just in the Western Hemisphere, unless it's specified as something else, if it's sugar, it's all cane sugar. We have a lot of that.
Yes.
And not all of it can get turned into adult beverages like rum. Which is why the rum is always gone.
Yeah, it's theirs.
So eggs.
Okay.
And see how it's split perfectly down the middle? And I can just do that. This is a trick I learned watching Jacques Pepin. And we've talked about Jacques Pepin and the Le Technique cookbook before. But one of the things, he does these videos on his Facebook and Instagram feeds that are, just little like short cooking instructions. Hello, Conti, welcome in. And one of the things he's instructed is you always hold the egg like this with your fingers on top and the thumb on the outside, and then you, on a flat surface, knock it a couple times if it doesn't split perfectly. But you don't want to knock it on a edge of a bowl or something, on a lip. You always want to do it on a flat surface, because if you knock it on the lip, it can shove the egg into the shell into the egg, and
Doesn't break correctly.
well, it doesn't break correctly. But we've talked about, you know how we talked about washing the fruit so when you cut it, you don't get whatever's on the fruit into what you're eating. Same thing with the eggs.
Right, you can, some people do, wash the eggshells too.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, this is the really not appetizing looking piece. That's why, you know.
This is where I tell you the directions say you're supposed to beat the eggs before you put them in there. Good news
No, you
is
didn't.
it's forgiving.
Yeah, this is one of those things where I'm sure there's an improvement that would come from doing it that way. Probably adding more air.
Well, you'd be sure the eggs were all incorporated. You know, the eggs were all.
But you're gonna.
The white and the yolk was already blended before
yeah.
you put it in there.
But you're
and
gonna.
You don't have any of the whatever it is they call the white stuff. You know.
Yeah.
Anyway.
You still don't have the technique, Grit? I mean, the general technique or the book? Because I should see if I'm just gonna say that Barnes & Noble is having a sale. Hashtag not sponsored, but you can find it there. And as you can see,
and I would say, you know, I normally would say paperback and and hardcover are interchangeable.
we don't make it in hardcover anymore.
They don't make it in hardcover anymore.
Because it's one of those. It's so thick.
It's so thick, it's too expensive.
It's too expensive.
But
They make it bound though. It's a nice binding.
It's a perfect bound. But when you open it, you know, if you have a cookbook stand or something to hold it open, so that you can actually watch.
So egg.
Okay.
What next?
Eggs, cream.
Cream. Good.
A dash of cinnamon and whatever they consider a dash, or whatever you consider a dash.
Well, this is why you wear a chef's coat. So you. Let me really incorporate this milk, as it's gonna separate. See, that's the thing. You're gonna, you know, all of this separates at this point because of. It's just the way it works. 1, 2, 3. Always go with the Holy Trinity, right? Less than a Dane, we'll put in a Danish. I mean, that seems like an appropriate amount. Is it now into a beat set?
No, you're just supposed to put all of the stuff in there and mix well, so you don't have to do after. Some people prefer to mix after each ingredient. The recipe just says throw it all in there
And then mix well.
and then mix well.
So, another point is we are not making this GF. You could with GF bread. But one of the things, if you are making this GF, we're having all of this, right?
Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, it's supposed to be half a tablespoon. Sorry. Which is this? This is half a tablespoon. Yeah, close enough. I forgot I'm cutting stuff in half here.
And then the craisins.
And it says quarter cup, but you want less than quarter cup.
I mean, the craisins I don't care. That's not going to be as big a...
Right.
We'll see. I mean, we're going to have to beat this all together with an actual beater because
Well, no, because you got to put yourself the bread in there.
Yeah, I know, but I before I get to that point, I need an actual mixer because it's or an actual whisk,
Mm-hmm.
because it's separating a little bit because of the difference between the. It's the goat.
It's the mixing with the sugar.
I mean, we used it yesterday,
Yeah.
and you opened it. Do you want to need it?
Yeah.
No, it's just no.
Okay.
Because if we have to, I have a whole. We can just do this again. I think.
Well, okay.
Are you sure? No, Mom. It's
Because it's the wrong texture.
separating the wrong way.
No,
It's definitely separating the wrong way. Sometimes when you do this and you don't think your ingredients are bad.
well, I don't think that's necessarily bad, but I don't really don't know if it's used for baking very well.
I mean, it has. I've used it for baking, but that's okay. We can use the oat milk instead.
Still good. January 28th. It's not. It's not split.
Well, I don't know. It's not combining with the. It's not combining with the butter, and everything else was. So that's why sometimes when you do this and you realize halfway through that things are not combining.
We don't have any more eggs, so you're stuck.
That's true. We don't. We make it work. The thing is, it's.
I think it'll be fine once you put the bread in and it bakes. It's fine. It'll be fine.
Well, Conti is talking about the other Trinity. No, Conti, you're perfect timing because we're making bread pudding from Commander's Palace, and then we're going to go make some jambalaya. So the Cajun is correct.
You've mixed as much as you're going to be able to mix. Throw the craisins in. Throw the bread in.
I think we need a little more craisin.
No, that's fine. Throw some more craisins in.
It's like it's separating out the liquid, so that's what's happening.
Yeah, that'll be fine.
Yeah, okay. Throw the bread and the apples in.
I would just throw the bread in. We'll put the apples in the bottom of each thing. Because you don't need it. What you want the bread to do is to soak up the liquid. And then we'll just put see, once you do that, and it soaks up the liquid.
Yeah, you're gonna be fine. No, I thought it was doing something else, and no, it's just the two fats are combining in interesting ways.
It'll be fine once they're in the oven.
Yeah, they'll cook together and it'll be fine.
Okay.
Yeah, because it's the fat from the butter and is combining interestingly with the fat from the thing.
Okay. Let that stand for 5 minutes. And
Okay,
keep
go
pushing
ahead.
push the bread down so it's as covered as possible.
Yep. Okay, so that's over there. Let's get this out of the way. Let's preheat the oven, because we haven't done that stuff.
Oh, yeah. Oops.
That's all from Mama.
Thank you. Sorry, I meant to do that before.
It's okay. Oh, we have a gas stove.
Well, I'm going to set a timer for, 10 minutes?
Yeah, a little bit less. Gives us time to clean things up and check in on people. Oh, hey Trig, welcome in. So the answer isn't always mix it harder. No, I started over mixing, and because I realized that Mom is correct in this case. What was happening was the fat from the milk and the fat from the butter was pulling itself away from the extra liquid of the milk, which is why if you were doing this with cream, you'd have less of that. Just because of the way the two things combine.
In the meantime, you can start cutting up stuff for the jambalaya.
Yes, we can. We can start prepping the jambalaya. Full disclosure, don't at us, Conti. I can't have shellfish. We can't have shellfish. So this jambalaya is just going to be chicken and andouille. But it will be chicken and andouille.
pause while we let the dog out. We're trying to be really careful with her because I don't know what the temperature is where you are, but it's quite chilly here.
It's 6 degrees. I looked.
You looked.
Oh, it's 6 degrees. It's cold.
It's 16 and feels like 5. The sun is out. That's probably what's making it warmer. We can also take the time to
Clean up after ourselves.
right,
Which is a step that you should do, hopefully, as you go.
especially in this case where we have. Wait.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Wait.
I thought you had done that step. That's why I was confused.
No.
Also, plastic cutting boards for meat that can go in the dishwasher. Yeah, Ice Bunny, it's about 20 degrees colder here today. And trying to keep them straight. But yes, we're gonna do chicken and andouille sausage for our jambalaya.
What else are we putting in?
Rice and
Or seasonings or veggie.
Joe stuff. Look, I
Good.
was gonna open a food truck. Serve gumbo and shellfish wasn't a common thing, so it was only gonna be chicken and andouille. There you go. See? I still think you should open that food truck, Conti. By the way, I support you in your food truck dreams.
There are some people who put chunks of ham in instead of sausage, but I think the andouille gives it a
I got you a bowl,
yes.
and I got my.
Go ahead.
Sorry. I thought I had grabbed 2 bowls. Oh, no, this is what I was doing. I was doing the bowl for me as I do the sausage, and then ask you to do the chicken, because I did the chicken last time.
Yep.
And I'm getting you a slightly bigger bowl. Hello, Simon. Welcome in. Welcome in. Hello, Sly. As I slide things back a little bit, give us a little.
Watch, because you got stuff on the other end.
Oh yeah, that's right. Giving us just a little bit more room. Push too far as I move stuff out of the way. Alrighty. Can you hit where? The sausage. Thank you very much. Okay, I think. But yeah, we're doing some. So last night, I've been doing a lot of fun cooking.
The scissors back, please.
Yeah. Just 2 seconds. It just got stuck.
Yeah, stuff is really well packed.
So you can now find andouille in most local supermarkets, at least in the United States. Not all andouille is created equal. And there are definitely some andouille that are better than others. But, you know, if all you got is one particular, you know, the local brand, take what you can get. But actually use andouille sausage in your jambalaya. Also in your gumbo, but we prefer jambalaya over gumbo. It's just a preference thing.
Bless you.
And you'll notice that I walked very far away from all of the food, so I did not.
Okay, and the microphone.
And the microphone. So I didn't.
By the way, I don't know about you folks, but I have found that when you're chopping anything for a stew or jambalaya or something like that, stuff cuts a little better when it's well chilled or even slightly frozen.
Yeah.
Just makes it a little easier, especially if you're doing Chinese and you're slicing steak before you're going to put it in whatever seasoning or marinade, cut it slightly frozen. Save yourself a lot of aggravation.
Another trick I learned recently from watching Jacques Pepin and his suggestion, and it actually works really well, and this is why I'm, doing this, is to not try and cut things at a 90-degree angle, but to turn things slightly angled, because, so that way your hands, see if you look at Mom's arms and the angle of her knife, it's slightly angled to the cutting board. So that will mean that when you actually cut, what you cut is straight versus trying to cut on a 90-degree angle.
You're also not torturing your wrist.
This is also true. What could you substitute if you couldn't get andouille?
What you want is a sausage that's spicy. You might.
But you don't want it. But you also want it smoked slightly.
Well, I was thinking, Ice Bunny, if you can get la merguez sausage or chorizo, something like that, that's got a spicy, peppery flavor.
Yeah, you don't want a bratwurst or really, you don't want any of the German sausages. Right? No,
Right.
not really. I mean, Conti, can you think of any other substitutions that you would use for if you couldn't get andouille? Conti is from Conti's Cajun.
Yeah.
I do not remember 100% whether Conti is Bayou or not, but Conti chorizo. Yeah, chorizo is good. You just want to make sure it's the smoked one, so it's not the crumbled one.
You want it to be links, not crumbled.
So you can end up with like little rounds.
Yeah, chorizo. Or if you have what some people put in the jambalaya is smoked ham, something that's got a smoky flavor.
Yeah, you want a little smoky flavor, a little heat, something that will. I mean, and ideally you're doing this in a way that you're going to end up. Yeah, exactly. Conti says chorizo would work. If all else fails, most horseshoe sausages are smoked and can work. In that case, you just want a little bit of additional heat.
Which you can adjust with seasoning.
Yeah, which you can do with other seasonings. I'm thinking we need the hot Joe stuff for today.
I always vote for the hot Joe stuff, but yes.
And the other trick is you want to make sure that your meat pieces, both your chicken and your sausage, are roughly the same size. You know, right? Like, I cut these into like 1/4-inch slices.
1/2 inch?
Okay, 1/2 inch. Well, between 1/4 and 1/2, maybe 2. And well, like, the tip of your thumb kind of thing. But that way it ends up the closer the slices are, the pieces are to each other in size, the more evenly everything will cook it all together. Exactly. Conti's like, and a splash of cayenne. There you go. You can add cayenne to pretty much anything. Actually, you can.
Yeah, I'm not quarreling with you.
I'm going through in my head like what I would, but I've used cayenne in baking. I've used cayenne in my apple pie.
Yeah, cayenne sometimes just gives it just a little kick without being overwhelming. I ended up putting it on my acorn squash the other night. A little more than I anticipated, but
But yeah, so the point is when you're cutting the meat so that they all end up equal sizes to each other. Oh, he's farmland Cajun. See, I couldn't remember and I didn't want to say. Perfectly valid and still totally acceptable.
So, what do you put in your jambalaya? Oh, you mentioned shrimp, but
Well,
what
no,
else?
He mentioned that he didn't put shrimp in
Oh.
the food cart because it wasn't easily accessible.
Right,
So chicken and andouille.
right.
I've tried to make. Yeah, Cajun like spice mixes. Cajun spice mixes are usually pretty good, right? Like if you can keep all of the pieces individual, then having them fresh and making your own is always better, as people say. But by the same token, we buy Joe's stuff because it's just that much better.
We happen to like the way
That
the
mix,
blend
right.
is mixed. You know, he's done all the work for you. Part of the thing about mixing it yourself is if you aren't going to use all of the herbs or spices that go into the seasoning mix and they sit on your shelf, then they're going to lose their flavor before you can actually create the mix and use the mix. So, besides, I tend to be somewhat lazy. I like the idea that somebody else did all the work for me when it comes to making spice blends.
I mean, like,
They've perfected it, and I found when there's one I like that somebody else has perfected the proportions, because it's the proportions that's the hardest to get right,
yeah.
then, you know, stick with it. That's my view. But other people really enjoy getting the spices and making the flavor combinations themselves. So, you know, it's all about what you like. Yeah, and cleaning chicken is a shield mode.
Hold on. He did something because of Hawkeye enabled shield mode for. Oh, okay. Yeah, I think you accidentally hit the shield button. There we go. And I will. Shield mode is off. Okay. Should be back. Everybody check, make sure everything works. Yeah, Conti was saying that he's. Oh, okay, something must have happened. You accidentally. Okay, there we go. So shield mode is something that Twitch put in, and
She's outside.
yeah, she is. I'm going to go get her. Shield mode is something that Twitch put in when they started having hate rate problems, of people just coming in and using horrible, aggressive language against people. But it's got it's a button that's really, really small, and mods. Don't worry, Conti. Don't worry, Hawk. I understand. I've been there. It's a very small button, and on mod view chat, it's literally right next to like just clicking into the chat. But the minute he hit it, like, puts all the protections on, which is a good thing. It just means that things are happening. Oh, I need to reset. Hold on, I need to refresh the captioner, because the other thing that shield mode does is it turns off the captioner, because for people who have spoken alerts, they would come in and start blasting things into the alerts to have the auto thing start making very inappropriate, racist, aggressively sexual comments. Because people are just horrible people.
Would you like to go get your dog?
I'm going to go get the puppy. Are you going to be okay for 30 seconds while I go get the dog?
Yes, I think I can entertain the fans for that long. I don't know about anybody else, but cleaning chicken is the ugliest thing. But it happens. It happens. I'm using a boning knife for this because it gives me the best control. If you don't have a boning knife, I've also used a steak knife. So it's a matter of what tools you have available. And it's a messy process, but somebody's got to do it. And we're all back.
And we're all back, including Bella.
Who is headed straight for the refrigerator and her carrots.
Yep. And she get her carrots. There you go.
As Dee said, because it's going in jambalaya, it doesn't have to look pretty. Even sizes works the best, but a little off here and there doesn't matter.
Yep.
Okie dokie smoky. Yeah, Ice Bunny, I hear you. My challenge is that my hands are small and I spend so much time on the computer that, I've sort of built up arthritis, so gripping something can be a challenge. I think you just have to find what works for you. And there are a lot of, if you watch the Jacques Pepin videos, he uses basically a paring knife for almost everything.
It's like all of those videos of all the nonnas, right? You have a nonna knife, which is a slightly longer than paring knife shape, and all the nonnas in Italy all use that one nonna knife. Like, there are advantages to certain styles of knife. They do give you certain benefits, but if you're not comfortable with them, and you're not going to use it, then why buy it?
Right.
Rather invest in a sharpener so that you can keep that one knife you are going to use sharp.
Okay. Chicken is all set.
Chicken is set. I think at this point, though, we're going to shift other things back over here and switch back so that we can put the...
Before we do, I think we need to remind people about, at least in the U.S., chicken has been often found to have all kinds of salmonella in it. It's got antibiotics. It's got all kinds of stuff. Mostly based on factory farming. So
Take the time to clean your hands every step.
clean your hands every step. Clean all your utensils every step. Then put them in the dishwasher immediately, and clean your counter.
That's why I left stuff over here.
It's also why some people have specific color-coded cutting boards. There's one they only use for chicken, there's one they only use for fish or veggies or whatever.
That's why we have the red one that we only use for meat. And then it goes immediately into the dishwasher. Okey-dokey.
Oh, and if you use scissors, our chicken came in a
Shrink wrap.
shrink wrap bag, vacuum sealed bag. So we used scissors to open it, clean the scissors.
Yeah, Japanese, like we have, my second favorite knife is this one.
We lost the thing again.
I'll fix that in just a sec. My second favorite knife is this one. It's a Tokunbatsu chef, it's a Santoku chef's knife. They're really nice, they're really good balance, they feel really good in the hand. It needs to be sharpened because I use it so frequently. But it also is great for the rocking motion, which is what you other things want to make sure you have a knife that's big enough for.
And not to gross people out, one of the things when you wash your hands, remember under your nails, because if you have long nails, like Dee and I do,
you're gonna get it all under there.
Chicken schmutz, a very technical term.
It's an important term. Yiddish is a wonderful language. We should all speak more of it. Hawkeye says, all my work in creating homebrew NPCs is paying off in an unusual way. Creating imaginary patients to help my wife teach nursing students skin care management. There you go. Scenario writing is important and a very good thing. And good luck with that, Hawk. Alright, so we have the bread. which has soaked up all the liquid and separate. That's the other thing. It really separated out the fats from the rest of the liquids, which is fine. It'll all cook the same.
Yep.
Now, make life easy. We enjoy making life easy, right, y'all? So these are how we're gonna do this individual serving bread pudding, and they're actually soup dishes where you can see the little handle, but they work wonderfully for this. And then this is just a turkey roasting pan, so when we put the bain-marie in, everything works. I will also say that I use these to make individual chicken pot pies. Use them for soup.
French onion soup with the, we actually have crocks for those, but
We do.
you know, soup, anything. If you're worried about portion control, it's a perfect pasta size.
Yeah, portion control. All right. So I'm thinking
Apples.
a layer. They're right here. Layer of apples, the bread pudding, and a little bit of apples on top.
Sounds like a plan.
Because Mom cut them so nicely.
By the way, we haven't done this before. This is a
We're experimenting. We experiment live. It's fine. I mean, it's one of those we've done all the individual pieces of this before. We
I just
understand.
never put apples in my bread pudding, but you know.
I've had it that way. But I also spent 10 years living in Atlanta.
Okay. The one thing you want, wait a minute. One of the things you want to do with anything where it's going to be the base and you're going to pour liquid on top,
Well, it's not going to be a whole lot of liquid in here, Mom. It's all.
well, you're going to pour something on top, is you want to even out the base layer so that it's relatively flat and pretty even across the bottom of the container, whatever it is you're using. Okay.
Okay. Now we've got our bread mixture with that's really absorbed at this point. Here, actually, I should do it this way, right?
Mm-hmm. You're gonna have to do it though, because you're gonna have to. Don't want to fight with the.
Don't want to fight with the handles of the
Do you want me
roasting
to
pan.
sprinkle a little cinnamon on top of the apples?
Actually, we're going to do two things to the apples because I want to add a little more complex flavor to these.
Okay.
This is something that is almost impossible to get outside of New England. And even then it is very hard to get because no grocery stores do not carry it. You need to find a local guy. You need to actually go to Vermont or New Hampshire or even Maine and get a guy who will make you maple sugar. But I kid you not, it is one of the best things in the world. It cooks just like regular sugar. You need just a little bit less.
Yum.
But it adds a nice sugar and maple flavor to everything. So we're just adding a little bit of just a little bit of cinnamon and a little bit of maple sugar sprinkled on the apples before we put the bread pudding in.
Sounds good.
Would you like to participate? You can come over here. There.
Sorry, I was coughing. Trying not to cough into the camera.
Yeah, just a little bit of, because you've got some cinnamon in the bread pudding mixture. Is it far away? To go to Vermont from here, it's a couple hours.
5 hours. It's about a 5-hour drive.
Yeah.
It's a little bit north of Boston.
Great.
New Hampshire,
Vermont.
Connecticut, Massachusetts, right up.
Yep.
Depending on where you're going.
It doesn't. It is, however, a straight shot. You could do it from where we are. It's not long. It's just, it's not hard to do. It's just a straight shot. But actually, I got really lucky when I was in the city at Christmas time. One of the maple syrup manufacturers came down from Vermont to do a what's the word I'm looking for? To sell at one of the Christmas villages.
Christmas fair.
At
By the way,
fairs.
the city for us is New York.
There is only one.
Yeah, there can be only one. Yes, I
Exactly.
know.
Anyways, so because of that, he had brought it down for himself. Sometimes Hawkeye, but it's not like, I think, is this one? Yes, he does make it, he does have a website. It's DorsetMapleReserve.com. Hold on, let me write that in the chat. Hashtag not sponsored, but, you know. Thank you, Mom. Dorset
Reset.
Reserve.com. Okay, there you go. It's in the chat. Hashtag not sponsored, but he's a local grower who makes all his own maple sugar, maple syrups. He even made a you could taste these. He had a bourbon barrel maple syrup. It was fabulous. But with maple sugar, you don't need as much as you would with a normal sugar. It's a little...
Well, it's pure maple syrup that's crystallized and ground up into granules.
Yes,
like sugar.
the voice you heard in the background talking about the distance to Vermont was my dad. But yes, so it's... The other thing that you really can't get, I mean, I guess maybe with the online ordering you could do, but it's never going to taste the same, is maple candy. Snow candy, particularly, is a thing that is a thing that you do in winter with is fresh maple syrup that's been mixed with heated and purified, and then effectively that's it, and then just poured on snow so it hardens into a candy.
Yeah.
So yeah. So, but this guy did some. All right, so we're gonna start ladling stuff in.
I'm gonna try to make it even.
Yeah. Right now I'm just trying to even proportion.
That's what I mean.
Oh, I thought you meant level.
No, divide evenly.
Oh, I'm not getting level yet. But yeah, and I will acknowledge that like maple sugar and maple candy is a very labor intensive process, right? Like
Yes.
it's not it's one of those things that isn't it's oddly simple, but because of that it's not easy to what's the word I'm looking for? It's not easy to industrialize the process. I mean, really it is, you're just boiling maple syrup for hours and hours and hours.
Well, the hardest part is you have to have the right kind of trees. You have to tap the tree at the right time. And the syrup oozes out
At a very slow
at a
rate.
very slow pace. Think motor oil.
And you know, it's like,
The rate at which motor oil oozes, not
Yeah.
that it's the consistency of. So.
yeah, that's why I'm also checking them. I have a little bit more, so I'm trying to that even. Right?
Yeah, it's good.
I think this needs to go in this one. Right, like that looks evenly divided.
Yep.
Okay, so now we got our bread pudding in here. And do we want to put a little more apple in?
You have enough to sprinkle a little on the top.
Yeah, sprinkle a little on top. And then,
What the heck?
what the hey, you know? So this is apple, cranberries, cinnamon, maple sugar. All of the flavors involved in this are just going to be really good. Like, and it's one of those things, once you learn to once you learn to cook and you start practicing the art of cooking, which is literally what this is, like, even the best chefs in the world have not great recipes at times. You start to learn to make what flavors work together and why things work together in those flavor profiles. And then you can just start doing, things like this. It's like, oh, craisins and apples work really well together. Apples and raisins work well together. There's no reason why this whole recipe as a whole.
Okay. Then I'll leave time. What?
We want to cover with foil first.
Um,
Yeah, because it says to put it in the bain-marie and then cover with foil, but
Yeah.
because we're doing individual ones,
yeah. Well,
I think it would be easier to cover the individual ones.
the thing is,
Yes, I'm just sitting here eating Honeycrisp apple. It's fine.
you just have to be really careful when you cover it with foil that you don't put it down so far that the water's going to seep up underneath.
Yeah, I just want to... Sorry, Conti. I can't ship it to Vegas.
I don't think you want that much. You just want much smaller.
Oh, I was going to crimp out. So yeah, this is... But yes, actually, Conti, this is the this is starting as the base recipe for bread pudding from the Commander's Palace cookbook. And as we said at the start of the thing, Commander's Palace is my mother's favorite restaurant on this continent. I'm not saying the favorite in the world because
Well, Conti, in Vegas, you got a pad in emeralds, didn't you? At least in downtown. One of the hotels had you have emeralds. You can probably get a decent bread pudding from emeralds.
Yeah. I mean, you say, oh, it might still be there. All right. So now we have.
I put water in there too.
Yeah, that was. You and I are on the same page, Mom. We have a roasting pan with handles. This is the turkey roasting pan we see. And then we have a teapot of water because a bain-marie is a water bath and you want it to come halfway up the sides of the container that you're cooking in. And
You want it to come half an inch from the top.
half an inch from the top
Half an inch from the top of the dishes
that are in there.
that are in there. Not half an inch from the top of the pan.
Which is why you want to occasionally crimp back up the foil. Because you don't want the foil getting wet. But
Well, you just mostly don't want the water to travel too far. But if it does, it's not the end of the world.
no, it's just... I can take 2 seconds and do it the right way, kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
Try to eat off the strip though. Yeah, the tourist tax is real.
Oh, absolutely.
That is a true statement right there.
I have to tell you, I only go to Vegas when I have to on business, and that's when somebody else is paying.
But yes, this is the roasting pan we use for Thanksgiving turkey, for Christmas roasts, for pretty much anything. Mom would say that that's maybe an inch,
You might need
a little more.
smidgy bit more. You're good.
There we go. Bella opened her eye, looked at me, and said, I don't care. Uh-huh. Now the hardest step of this entire process. Getting this in the oven without splashing all of this water you just poured into this bain-marie on yourself. I know some people who like to pour the water into the pan when it's sitting in there, and I'm like, that's a bigger mess. Do we have the... Where do we go? Is it under the thing?
I don't know where the red ones went.
No, these are fine, actually. I kind of want these because they stabilize the rack a little bit better. But we've got one roasting pan of bread puddings that I'm sliding towards the back of the rack in the oven for the very important purpose of when I slide the rack back in the oven, it doesn't move around too much and it stays level and flat. And they say 45 to 50 minutes. I'm covering for the last 10 to brown on top.
I'm gonna say 10, 5.
Oh, because they're smaller, yeah.
We're gonna adjust the baking time on this because we're using the smaller pans and we're only cooking half.
Okay. So while that's doing that, we're going to take a minute. I think this is a good point to take a break, stretch, bio, refresh, all that kind of good stuff. I can get some more water. Mama can get some water. And then when we come back, we'll start on the jambalaya while the bread pudding's cooking. So we'll see everybody in a few minutes. I'll probably also run the ad break during the break, but this way we can try and keep it out of the way. So see you in a few, everybody. Hello everyone, welcome back. As you can see, we are changing up. I have to change the volume setting. That down a little bit. I'm also going to change take that back off. There we go. Now we've changed everything up. All right. There we go.
There you go.
We're gonna. I don't need this yet, but thank you. All right.
That's where you have everything on.
Yep. So we are going to be changing things a little bit because
Be right
Oh,
here.
you're
Right
right
here. Oops. I can't tell where here. Here we go.
yeah,
It's backwards.
This is,
I always have
this
trouble
is-
with backwards.
This is the preview. Yeah. So we are going to acknowledge immediately for Conti and anyone else that due to dietary restrictions, horrible, horrible one-overs. Oh yeah, it was the can opener. I hit unmute at the right time. Due to dietary restrictions, mostly mine, we can't do the official Trinity anymore. So the proper way to do this is the brown andouille sausage, particularly with pork andouille. Take it out, and then in the drippings of the pork andouille sausage, cook with Trinity, which in Cajun cooking is onion, celery, and bell pepper. In French cooking, it's onion, celery, and carrots. I prefer the peppers, but I can't eat the peppers anymore. It's not good. So we're skipping that step and instead just using not any of the aromatics and just going straight to the spices. But we do know how to do it, and I have done it correctly before. This is for dietary reasons. But our dear friend, The Dutch oven. It never goes far away from us. It is one of the best vessels ever.
Yep.
It cooks wonderfully. Enamel, cast iron. We literally used it last night to make chili. All these good things. Oh, thank you. Hey, Jim, welcome in. Thank you for bringing your crew on over. How was your day? Let me give a shout out to Jim. Well, before we, where did it go? There we go. You almost bought one? There we go. So you almost bought one, but I was like, I can't afford this right now. Avoid eyes. I mean, yes, they are an investment, but they are an investment that you will pay for itself in like the first 2 times you use it.
You might want to look at Goodwill or any other thrift store where people are cleaning out, or if somebody's downsizing. A lot of people don't know what they have.
Yeah.
So
I'm gonna get rid
you
of
know,
it.
And you can, and right now, I don't know if this is in your area, but Bed Bath & Beyond is going bankrupt and has a lot of closeouts in their store. So if you have one near you, walk in, check every so often, because every day is different, but you might get lucky and find a Dutch oven. You don't have to, mine is
Actual Le Creuset.
a real Le Creuset. I got it as a wedding present, and I won't tell you how many years ago that was, but it's older than Deirdre, and it has lasted through multiple moves. So, Mike having a problem.
Oh, the caption stopped. Okay. Oh, well, I can fix the mic issue. Is that better? We moved things around a little bit because we needed to get the camera closer so that we can do this, but is the mic any better now? So now we can see mostly into the pot, into the Dutch oven itself. There we go. Is that mic better? I think it's a little bit better. Looking like it's a little bit better. Oh, it's picking up the other camera's mic, which is weird because it shouldn't be. That shouldn't be possible because. Come back. Like, no, I meant like. Like, the other camera is muted, like the other input is muted, so it shouldn't be possible to do that. And yeah, Ice Bunny is correct. Le Creuset is hand-me-down for hand-me-downs. And I will turn the captioner back on. As we play with food. Okay, so the captioner is back on. The thing is, that's working. Like, the other inputs are all muted, so if they're not working, if it's causing a problem, I would like to know so that I can try and figure out what's gone wrong. But from our end, all I can see is the mic working.
Then you're going to need to reset the camera because I just knocked it off.
It's okay. It's easy fix. I like that. There we go. Easy fixes.
By the way, another alternative to
You let the cable get pulled off. Okay, well, let's check the cam.
we moved it to the loose ends. Done that, right?
Did everything. Hold on a sec. Okay, I feel better. It was okay. So it was just we fixed it. Thank you. I appreciate it. I appreciate knowing that's the important part. You know,
You're about to burn your oil.
I am about to burn my oil, but at least I know that it's warm. You know. So sometimes these things happen. Yeah, I had muted everything to try and make sure that everything was correct. It seems to be working now. And now we're going to take the andouille sausage, and again, we talked about this because this isn't chicken andouille sausage. We're putting in a little oil to do this. You wouldn't need to do this if you just had pork andouille. Also, this is the bamboo stirring utensil that is my favorite. It is a flat bladed, not quite spatula. It goes really well at moving underneath things and getting movement from everything equally. And now the kitchen is starting to smell wonderfully. Would you agree, Mother?
Absolutely. Your black things are in the drawer over there.
Oh yeah, well,
The handle.
And so at this point, you just want to move everything around. You'll start getting some beautiful red grease coming off. It's fine, what you want. Let it cook, let it do its thing. While that's happening, you can see that Nightbot just reminded you that I now have merch. It's a thing. You can go check it out. We've got the When in Doubt, Blame the Yagos line, and then we've got Which Yonto Are You Again? And a couple more are coming in the near future, so you can check those out. You can also check out everything that we do over on the VODs. And you want to check out you liking this? You enjoy cooking with Mama? I have a YouTube, and you can check out all the VODs and have all of the previous times that Mom and I cooked in the kitchen together and everything else that I do. But now that I've done the shilling and getting that out of the way, we can go back to cooking some sausage, which is very entertaining. And Mom, you want to say anything about the wonderful sausage I was cooking?
Pay attention to it. Try not to let it stick to the bottom of the pan. You do want it to brown, but you don't want it to cook so much that it sticks. But yep, and that's our timer to check on the bread pudding.
We're gonna change cam scene. Ha! So I can do this a little easier.
And take a look at the directions of the directions. I think it's just all we have to do is take the top off.
Take it on like brown for 10 minutes. We always double check our directions.
We don't always follow them, but we always double check them. Now remember, what we're doing is checking on the bread pudding and taking the pan out so that we can take the aluminum foil off. Remember that this is
Full of hot water.
very heavy and the water is boiling, so if you spill it on yourself, you're risking serious burns. So be ultra careful.
Which is why, full warning, if it ever looks like it's about to fall on you, just drop it and step back.
It's easier to fix the floor than the person.
Fix the floor, clean up the mess. All of that is a lot easier than getting second-degree burns by boiling water. Don't even mess with that.
And under the heading
Do we
of,
have the baby ones?
you want the baby one?
That's why I said, Mom, I need you to.
Yeah. Actually, I'll stand here and hold it. Let's just- so that we don't miss anything. Okay.
Baby ones.
Baby ones. Okay. Under work smarter, not harder. To take the foil off, Dee's going to use these small tongs to get at the end of the crimped foil,
Hopefully.
hopefully.
Without making a mess.
You just got to get lower to the edge.
Oh.
Do you need it? Yeah. What you gotta do is get
I
two.
gotta uncrimp it because I folded it up.
Okay. There you go. Yeah, looks good.
And now we're gonna literally just put the foil in the pot, glass dish that the sausage was in, because it doesn't matter at this point. It's all just gonna get beautifully browned. Come on. And this is very hot. I am not lying when I say that this is very hot, and I cannot see chat, so I don't know what's going on.
Yep, it is jambalaya time. Coming. Hand me the thingy.
So we can multitask.
Cinnamon smells good.
Apples smell good.
Mhm.
Everything smells good.
You good? Okay,
Maybe
I'm
get
going to
that
give you
last
a
piece.
close-up. You doing okay?
Yeah, you do this. There you go. Pull up. There you go. Look at all of that. Now it's going to go back in the oven and get nicely brown. Hello, Anna. How you doing? I'll come back and help Mom rearrange the camera in a second, as I immediately put this back in the oven so it can get nicely browned on top. But remain in the frickin'
Note to self, pull out shelf.
Yep. Stop myself before I almost burnt myself. I'm feeling pretty good. Sliding it back all the way so that when it goes back, it's level. There we go. Alrighty. Moving on. Moving and grooving. Moving and grooving. How you doing, Anna? How's life going for you?
Got this, I can go set the time.
Yep. Alright. Now we're looking pretty good on this sausage. I want to kind of flip them a little bit, get them a little bit more browned. We'll try and crisp them up a little bit. I personally, and this is personal preference, I like a little bit of crust, because you're gonna get. I like a little crust on the sausage or even on the chicken, just give it a little bit of texture differential, because you're gonna cook it with the rice and the tomatoes and water and all the other liquids that are going to be involved. I like the texture differential. What do you think, Mom?
Yeah, I like it because it gives it a little firmness. Are you gonna
Yeah.
do the cornstarch thing while I? Because this is almost done. My talent does not extend to holding the camera correctly.
It's okay, Mom. We understand that grips are a vital resource, but they are not good to find.
But by the way, Le Creuset is ideal, obviously, especially the enamel-lined ones. But Lodge now makes some really nice cast iron Dutch ovens, and they're hashtag not sponsored, but they're not, and they're not that expensive. You can find them online. You can find them at a Lodge cast iron factory outlet, and it'll do the same thing. And cast iron will last for generations.
You can also find the off-brand enamel cast iron. But also, for full warning, if you think Le Creuset is expensive, Staub is twice as expensive.
Right.
Staub is very, very nice.
Yep. Home Goods, also not sponsored, is another place to find discontinued versions of Le Creuset
And
or other similar stuff. So, if you shop around a little, you might be able to find what you're looking for.
also, they usually, some places have a Le Creuset outlet where they put their retired colors and styles, and you're like, I don't care what color it is.
By the way, Conti, there is a Le Creuset outlet in the outlet mall in New Orleans. I was just there, a year ago, and that's where I bought these wonderful lasagna pans that were seriously discounted because they were changing the color or the packaging or something. Sorry.
Nothing, I'll tell you later. All right, so now we are at this point where if you were doing this the traditional route, you would take this out, brown the aromatics, and then add the chicken. However, because we're not adding the aromatics, I instead merely add a touch more oil to my pan. And then add the chicken.
Didn't you want a cornstarch?
No,
Are you gonna make a slurry?
no, not at this point.
Okay. Well, you took out
Oh, that's for later, Mom.
Okay.
And now, I really don't care because, you know, the chicken's gonna cook with the sausage. The sausage is already cooked. Anything that's on the chicken is gonna get cooked. But however, I bring out the Joe's hot stuff. The New Orleans School of Cooking, Joe's hot stuff. Literally my favorite Cajun blend. And this is where you go, however much you want is going to be the appropriate amount.
Absolutely.
And
Absolutely.
also important, if it smells right to you, then it is correct.
Right. And you need to watch it. You may need to drizzle a little extra oil in now and then, again, so it doesn't stick too much. We're using extra virgin olive oil for sauteing. You can use any kind of oil that you like. We just happen to like the light flavor from the olive oil.
We're Sicilians. We put olive oil in everything. Even things we probably shouldn't use.
Well, you can use it for baking, depending on how.
Yeah, olive oil cakes are really good, just saying. I'll just heat up just a little bit.
But Dee, I think you need to move the camera for a minute.
Oh yeah, I do. So, hold on. Hopefully.
Brush your nose.
We have a new sous chef who's joined us. Hi.
Hello.
Hi.
You'll
No.
notice she's between me and the counter.
Nope. Well, okay. She's gonna leave
She's licking the floor.
anything that may have, splattered on the floor. Ended up anywhere else. It's all hers. Now, see, this is where we get into why I like the bamboo, this particular utensil, because it can slide in and underneath things and flip, particularly for browning meat, a lot easier. I have found, rather than just like a regular wooden spoon. All right, while we do that, I need to get rice. Because it's real hard, Mom. It's real hard to make jambalaya
Without rice, yes.
without rice. And I need to make sure I grab the correct kind of rice.
That's just regular Carolina rice in the utensils
Yeah.
in the thing.
This is what I'm grabbing. That Sicilian life of make sure you grab rice, which is either short grain or long grain. I prefer short grain, which is what I have here. You can even use medium grain, but maybe not the arboreal rice for jambalaya, because
And not dirty rice.
and not in dirty rice either. All right, now.
I can do it over here so you don't.
Yes. Thank you, Mother, for getting to the vacuum seal of the rice. And you'll notice that the chicken puts out a lot of liquid. This is actually pretty good because it keeps I have found that it also still keeps everything moist and delicious. Sniff check, smell real good, might need a little more garlic, but that's the world for everything.
You have to really push this down.
Will you push it up to vent it?
Push this button down so maybe it's careful. Anyway, here.
So we're gonna need this. Full disclosure. If I'm making Chinese, I wash the rice multiple times. For this, I do not. For risotto, I do not.
That's your-
Yep. I do not usually wash rice for this kind of preparation. I do it for if I'm making like white rice, sticky rice. I think I want to give it a couple more minutes
That's fine.
to brown. Maybe a good 5.
Okay.
I want it a little browner.
Okie dokie.
It looks very good, but I want it a little browner. Okie dokie. So, we're getting the chicken nicely browned. We're getting the continuing to stir the andouille. At this point, this is real simple, right? Easy peasy. But it's all about the ingredients and what you use.
And quality ingredients matter.
What do you do? You don't have to break the bank, but you should be using quality ingredients. Like, there's now, so Mom and I went to do a thing that for after just before New Year's, just before Christmas, right? Just before Christmas.
Yes, I think so.
The first weekend in December, Mom and I went to the local library because they were having an event with Jacques Pepin and the release of his new book,
The Art of the Chicken.
which is half recipes, half story, part recipes, part stories, and part just his chicken paintings. Because he paints chickens.
In his spare time. The man is 87. He's been turned
88.
88.
He turned 88 the week after.
December 17th, and he has 35 cookbooks, and he's working on 3 more. I want to be him when I grow up. Anyway.
He also
was
lives
in Madison,
an hour and a half that way,
up the coast, towards Rhode Island.
towards Rhode Island. But one of the things he was talking about when we went to this reading and this interview thing that was it was a lot of fun, it was a great deal of time, was he was talking about that you pay a little bit more to get the better ingredients, and then you can do whatever you want with the ingredient. And he said, like, the price differential now between organic chicken and non-organic chicken is really at a point where it's so nominal that it's better to just get the organic chicken for most people.
Right. Well, the other thing you find is that the higher grade of food, the less waste. So if you buy good quality chicken, organic chicken, as you trim it, you trim off less gristle, less leftover skin than you do when you just buy the grocery store chicken. And there is a taste difference, a little bit of a taste difference, but I find you'll feel better. It's kind of an incremental thing. You won't notice that you didn't think you were feeling bad when you ate the grocery store chicken, but you feel better when you eat the other stuff.
I will also say that there is a particular brand of chicken that is popularized in certain grocery stores like Kroger and a bunch of their other brands that is apparently, I did not notice until I went to actually go shopping. I was just like, I'm going to buy chicken. Oh wait, this is chicken on sale. I should grab some chicken. And then it has a list of ingredients and I'm like, why are there ingredients on my chicken? It's fresh raw chicken. And I was like, what? So it was chicken and chicken broth. And I'm like, you're injecting chicken broth into my raw chicken? No. Done, gone, do not need that. So apparently you may need to read the packaging on your chicken,
Some of them have rosemary extract in them.
which is not good for, for most.
Anyway,
Anyways. But,
so note to self, read every label, ask questions.
okay, you'll notice that there's a lot of liquid coming out of here because that's the chicken cooking. And you'll notice if I try and cut through it, it's not 100% cooked all the way through, which is the point at which you want. You don't want the chicken 100% cooked at this stage, right? Like, you would do that if you were then about to eat it, but you're about to put rice and a whole bunch of other things in here and let it cook for another half hour. So you don't want it to overcook, right? But,
So undercooking it in this situation is fine.
yeah.
It's actually preferred.
It is actually preferred. But this is I can look at it, it's evenly cooked on the outside all the way around, but if I cut through, I go to use the blade of the utensil, and it will let me cut through it, but there's a little bit of resistance to it. That's what you want. So it's still juicy, still nice. Now, some folks just be basic. And some of us are like, liquid
Yes.
is liquid, and you want liquid with flavor, because this is going to stew in the flavor. So we pick liquid with flavor. And if anyone is concerned about the amount of alcohol that I just threw in there, which is like less than a third of a cup, it'll cook off.
But by the way, you should not cook with any wine
You won't drink.
you wouldn't drink. That said, what we occasionally do is if you buy a bottle of wine and you don't like the flavor profile, it's not bad wine.
Just not for
it's
your.
just not to your particular taste. That becomes an ideal wine to cook with because it's going to absorb the other flavors from the food, and you're not going to have whatever it was that you didn't like. For me, particularly, I don't like the oaky, buttery Chardonnays.
Which is what you get from California, your Kendall Jackson, your.
And some people
Yes.
have often give us those, and I make an attempt to taste it. And if I don't like it, it ends up in dinner somewhere in a pot.
Next is this is a step where you can use either option. You can either use a can of tomatoes, crushed. I don't like the seeds, the seed texture in this. I think it just gets in the way, particularly with the size of the rice kernels and the whatever. So I just use a small can of tomato sauce. No sodium added, very basic, very easy. You can get these at most grocery stores for like less than $1.
And you usually want one that has no herbs or spices in it. It's just tomatoes,
It's tomatoes and a little bit of
water and tomato paste.
water and tomato paste.
But it's not one that has garlic or anything.
Would you?
Oh, Lord.
Yes, please. But this is going to give you that nice tomato flavor with a little, and we're going to, always take the time to add a little water to rinse your can and then dump that back in here because that's going to help everything balance out. Okay. Next up, fun times. We go back to our rice and our discussion of making sure you don't grab your arborio rice.
Yes.
Arborio rice is great, not in this dish. Sir, not appearing in this dish. But in this, I use 1.5 cups of rice. And that tells me exactly how much liquid I'm going to need.
A lot of people are afraid of making rice. It's really one of the easiest things. And yes, rice cookers are nice, but you can just make it on the stovetop. All you need to do is boil water.
Rice. Now, the next step I'm going to have to do quickly so that the rice doesn't burn is once you dump the rice in there, stir. Because at this point, there's all this wonderful flavor sitting at the bottom, and you want the rice to get that flavor and not just the water that you're gonna add here. Now, you could add vegetable stock or chicken stock. We're gonna add some water, mostly because it's easier, and how much you want? Just fill it. It's about 5 minutes. It's a cup and a half, and I'm, you want a cup and a half? Well, yeah, ideally. And you want to make sure that you stir the rice, you know, so it doesn't stick to the bottom, because this is going to be the point. So now we add the water in. We hand that back to Mama. We stir. Again, to make sure everything's covered, that the liquid is at the right level. And because you season it all steps throughout, add a little more Joe stuff.
I forgot to push start on the timer. So.
That's okay. I've been smelling it. It's smelling pretty good, and I'm about to take it out. Right here. Add a little more Joe stuff. Helps it get all the liquid. Boom. Make sure it's on low. And boom.
When you put the top on, though, you notice she left it a little bit cracked.
Intentionally,
so that the steam escapes slightly. Over there.
Yeah, no, I'm actually going to. We're going to take a second and slide this back. Yeah, exactly. You. The thing is, most Asian. Okay. What I'm going to do is just this for a second, so that we can slide things back without having to fight. There we go. There you go. Right like that. You see, I can just then bring it right back. There you go. We need to put the lid back on that. I'll move these cookbooks out of the way for this second. All right. Now, I need the thingy. Excuse me, Mommy. This thingy. These are one of the greatest things I have ever found. Mom, you got these where? Panama? Panama. They're little trivets, but they're made of wood, but they're woven together. If you can, like, I don't know if you can actually see this. You can kind of see the little thread work between them. They're very, very flexible. They're very thin. They're very lightweight. They're really great for when you need to adjust for there we go. And as you can see, look at those. Those look pretty, right, Mom?
They absolutely look gorgeous.
All that beautiful bread
Should
pudding.
taste gorgeous too.
It's gonna look really good. It's gonna taste, I smell divine. And then we have one more thing we have to do.
Yes.
The most important step for this bread pudding, Mother.
The sauce.
The sauce. The sauce is legitimately the most important step, but I'm going to take this second to very carefully just turn and slide this straight to the back of the stovetop. And it can just sit there and be happy. No, it's fine. It can just sit there and be happy. Because there's nothing in the oven. That's just going to sit there.
That's fine. I wasn't sure how much more stovetop you needed.
We need to simmer with that. Alright, now back to our Commander's Palace cookbook. Our Wait, I hit the wrong button. I'm sorry. Hit the wrong button. I should go get the new edition, but this is the original edition that Mom had.
But
Let me get the new edition.
it hasn't changed, has it?
All right. Sauce, sugar, water, cinnamon, butter. Bring to boil.
Okay.
Yeah, we're good. That's why I brought the cornstarch out now.
Okay.
So now this recipe calls for rum, either light or dark rum, depending on what you want. I don't like rum that much. I find it sweet, particularly when you're doing something like this. You're going to add sugar to the sauce.
Right.
So what do you prefer, Mom?
Irish.
Irish it is. So while I go get the
You
Irish,
could use brandy, but
you could. You could
the
even
original
use
recipe calls for
for rum.
Well, rum. Yeah.
And then there's the other souffle version. Okay, so like the one we're making is the French bread pudding. There is, however, also the souffle one, and that one has a whiskey sauce with bourbon. I think we should use Irish.
I think so too. For our house has to be.
Irish. So I will go get the Irish.
Mm-hmm.
And you can regale individuals.
One of the reasons I love Commander's Palace is the outstanding service, and it's nice to know that even really outstanding restaurants have bad days. I was there for a birthday celebration for a significant birthday, and one of their desserts is baked Alaska. Or they call it the celebration dessert, but it's a variation on baked Alaska. And they blaze it tableside. So the waiter, very experienced waiter, probably been there 30 years, comes out to the table with what a very old-fashioned typewriter table that had wings on the side. Look these up if you've never seen one. But it has a flat surface in the middle and then wings that you prop up. So he had the burner in the middle and he had the cake on one of the wings. And he brought it over to the table and he's flaming the whatever liquor was going on top to pour over to get it started. And as he was heating up the liquor, the table wing that was not propped up, very gradually, very slowly, slow motion, like a bad movie, collapsed and the cake slid onto the floor. This poor waiter was so mortified, and the dessert isn't exactly a 5-minute dessert that they have in the kitchen. It was going to take like another 20 minutes to bring you the dessert. So of course, I was it's fine, I'm celebrating, it's okay, life happens. Poor waiter, I was so shook, I think he almost wanted to go home for the day. So I tell you that to just let you know that when you have a calamity in the kitchen, or what you think is a calamity, it happens to the best of people. And it was just, as I say, it was almost like watching a movie, and it was going to happen in slow motion. But, so have you ever been someplace where something like that happened? I'd love to have people share their stories too. That was also the time we were having dinner, and a table across from us was about 12 to 16 young people. Somebody who lived in Dallas had flown his daughter and her friends to Commander's Palace for her Sweet 16 birthday dinner. Pretty impressive. And no, they didn't take a commercial flight. And they were flying home after dinner. If you want to know how the other half lives, that was...
Well, at 1%, Mom, let's be honest.
Yeah.
I would also like to point out that my parents told me I couldn't go to New Orleans at all until I turned 21, because otherwise I couldn't enjoy it.
That's right.
So, small shift.
Okay, well, bourbon works.
We have bourbon, or
Did you ask Dad what he wants?
I will
us-
ask. But
Yeah, we need to check with the
liquor, well, the keeper of the liquor closet.
what he recommends. The downside of this dinner today is that because the last 2 days have been really cold with serious wind chills, we're working on what we have in the house, not actually going to the grocery store to restock. So that was part of the fun of today's event was, okay, what have we got? Which reminds me that you don't always have to have exact ingredients. I'm sure you would, Crit. If I could pour it through the screen, I'd be happy to do that. Do you have a recommendation or a vote? Yeah, Ice Bunny, it is very strange. We are very weird. Remember, we're the country that had Prohibition, which I always think is strange because I'm Italian and everybody drinks wine from the time they're little, whether it's wine plus water or whatever.
That does make a good point that we've already put apples in it, so we're not going to use the Calvados, which, by the way, is a Norman apple brandy.
Mm-hmm.
Very nice, very good, enjoyable. But because we already put apples in it, we're going to use bourbon.
Bourbon works. Crit wants to taste.
Look, I can't. I mean,
I said we can't quite pour
we
it
can't pass it off.
through the screen here.
There are a bunch of people here that we can't get it to. I'm sorry. But, so, we have bourbon.
What you use for the sauce, again, is similar to when you use wine in cooking. Use something you like to drink, but not necessarily high grade. You don't want to waste it.
Yeah, you don't want to waste it. The Calvados is good, and if we were doing something where we didn't have already a lot of apple flavor, I would do that, but the Calvados has a lot of apple flavor.
And you don't want it to overpower what you've already got, especially because you have maple in there with the maple sugar.
And the craisin, and that's, yeah. So we're just gonna go with bourbon. A good but not great bourbon. Like this is mixing bourbon, not drinking straight bourbon, which is an important distinction when you're using hard alcohol in your sauces. You want to use mixing tier, not what you would drink just on ice.
Right.
Okay, so saucepan, sugar, water, cinnamon, butter, oil, cornstarch.
Mm-hmm.
Where's the alcohol come in? Yeah, no, but I'm like,
Remove from heat, and you don't want to cook that.
oh,
Or you can, this one's got slightly heavier.
this is, I would go with this because the rum is,
This one's got the,
yeah, but we can just do this, but just,
right. Right.
oh, well, no, it's the same steps, so we're not putting the rum in to cook. We're not cooking off this alcohol, people.
Right. Actually, I also do have an Irish cookbook that has whiskey sauce for your steak.
That's really good, by the way.
Which is really outstanding. Maybe we'll do that one of these days. That uses a serious amount of whiskey.
Yes, exactly, Hawkeye. No Woodford Reserve in your cooking.
Right.
Use it for after dinner drinking, or even before dinner.
Oh, I like Emerald Smell-O-Vision.
Look, if I could get you that, because this house smells divine right now. You can smell all of the spices in the Cajun spice mixture, and the cinnamon, and all of this. Say the supermarket is. I'd say the
Yes.
supermarket is for cooking, and the little distiller is the bottle. Yep, fair. All right. What am I getting? I'm getting milk, butter.
Now we're getting sugar, water, and butter.
Sugar,
Doing
water.
this one, right?
Yes, sugar, water, and butter. Sorry.
And cinnamon
I do not need the milk. We've got the butter, we got the cinnamon, and they say to use a stick of cinnamon so you pull it out.
which we do have up there
Yeah, I'm
somewhere.
just checking to see if it was in there.
No, it's in a square. It's in one of those square containers. The downside of having redone my kitchen is I didn't think through carefully what I was going to do with my spices. So they're in a corner cabinet, which if anybody has a corner cabinet in their kitchen, they know things go into the black hole. And in order to pull stuff out, in order to find anything, you have to pull everything out. So Dee at the moment is on a treasure hunt.
And of course it's one of those, you know where you put them away, but then things get put away in front of them and keep getting pushed and pushed and pushed and pushed. So we have cinnamon sticks. All right. Or ground tablespoon of cinnamon. I think you're going to do the cinnamon sticks, then you can remove it and just...
Yep.
That's what I'm thinking.
Okay, and we're gonna cut this
In half.
in half again. So,
A tablespoon of butter.
yep. Do you want to use your maple sugar or real sugar?
I think we can use the maple sugar, and then it means we use even less sugar.
Right.
Wrong drawer. Only had this speaking for a while. All right, so 1 tablespoon of butter, which is literally a pat of butter. The measuring thing on the side of your stick of butter is the best thing that they ever invented.
Mm-hmm.
It's like that is one of those things that shout out to whoever in marketing came up with that brilliant plan. You know, years ago. All right, we got butter. We need sugar, so it says cup of sugar.
Yeah, a cup of sugar.
3/4 of a cup in place of a cup. So half a
Right.
cup. So half of 3/4 is.
No, 1 cup of sugar, so you only need half of. Oh, but it says use 3/4 of. Oh, yeah.
So half a cup. And now I can't do math.
A little.
I would use
3/4 of it is 2/3 less than 3/4.
no 2/3 is more than 2/3 is less than 3/4.
So
But I would use
a little less than half.
yeah, a little less than half. That's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna do it by 1/4 cup. Exactly. Math. So the other thing is maple sugar. I should show you this. Maple sugar. The reason they say use less is because of how fine that is. If you can like get it to focus underneath here.
Well, it also has a different taste profile.
It does. It does have a very different taste
It's
profile.
sweet. The maple syrup is sweeter than sugar. Cane sugar.
So that's a 1/4 cup. I'm going to use a little less than half a 1/4 cup.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Right?
Yeah, that's plenty.
That's plenty.
Okay. All right.
And the powder gets everywhere, like in the air, and you will cough, and it will be a thing, but that's okay. It was worth it. Like, I kid you not, I was like, I'm going to keep this, and we're going to use it for only very basic things.
Okay. So, water.
Yes.
I made it a little less than a cup. Go ahead.
Okay, because it's 1 1/4 cups, so...
No, but you only put 2 cups in there, and you use the
Yeah.
other 1/4 with the cornstarch to
Okay, so
it's a slurry.
that makes sense. All right.
Okay. So sugar, water, cinnamon,
One, and this is a thing we're not having. We're just going to put the cinnamon stick in because it's a cinnamon stick and...
Assuming it still smells good. Because I don't remember how old my cinnamon sticks are.
Well, considering... Oh, it smells perfectly fine.
Mm-hmm.
1 cinnamon stick.
Remember what I said about leaving things on the shelf too long. But this one has been...
Yeah, just
this one's been wrapped up in a Ziploc sandwich bag
and then in a
glass.
sealed glass jar.
Sealed glass jar.
In a dark cabinet, and that's the other thing. Light will also damage all of your spices.
Okay. Butter.
It's already in there.
Okay. Bring it to a boil. After it boils, with it.
Also, time to break out to baby whisk. Baby whisk time.
There's the water you need for the cornstarch.
Thank you.
It just uses half a teaspoon.
All right, so now we move this out of the way. Over here. Half a teaspoon and what? We said half a teaspoon of cornstarch?
Mm-hmm.
This is why I took the cornstarch out.
Wow, you read the recipe. I'm impressed.
Yes. I, unlike some people on the internet that I know of and am friends with, read the recipe before I start to cook. Half a teaspoon, you said?
Yep.
Half
Oh,
a
wait.
teaspoon.
Wait,
It should be half a tablespoon, right?
half a teaspoon.
Half a teaspoon. Okay. It's a very light slurry that we're making here.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because it's a light sauce. I could have just let you make the conversions for us, Hawkeye. I probably should have, but you know. Because baking is really chemistry, but
Sarcasm is part of the recipe. Yes, it is, called Drake. Welcome in. But yes, there are individuals I know on the who I am friends with on the internet who literally like, I'm just gonna make this and I'm not gonna read the recipe, and I'm like, no.
well, you might adapt it after you've at least read it and done it the way the recipe says the first time. Because the hard thing to remember is cooking is chemistry.
Oh.
And sometimes real cooking, you can fudge. Baking is more pure chemistry, so you need to be a little more accurate.
And I will show you this once we get everything melted in here. And I'm supposed to bring to a boil, right?
Mm-hmm. And
Melt
when
in
it
there.
comes to a boil, well, that's interesting because this is cold water.
Yeah, it's to dissolve the sugar first.
I know, but usually when you stir cold water cornstarch into something, it.
Oh,
Well, anyway.
yeah. Well, you're gonna adjust temperature. It'll be fine. We'll all work out. Only difference between cooking and drug pharmacy compounding is the ingredients. You're not wrong, Hawkeye.
Right.
You're not wrong. I have to have a recipe in front of me. These folks who can make it on the fly, like, they're not really. See, the thing is, people talk about that they're making it up on the fly. They're not. They're taking what they already know and the recipes that they have memorized and are adapting based on what they have. Now, it's a skill based on years of practice and knowing how different ingredients combine and knowing what the different taste profiles are going to be.
There are clean out the fridge days, though.
I did one of those the other day with the leeks and the spinach. What did you think of that?
That was very good. That was very good.
I did some baked chicken with just a very little
Right.
salt, pepper, garlic, and then
Yep.
pasta, and then to put on top for Mom and I because Dad wasn't gonna eat that.
Oh, I like your distinction, Hawkeye.
Cooking, organic chemistry, or bucket chemistry. Baking, analytical chemistry. That's very true. I like that one. And so I took it and was like, okay, we had these leeks, we had these spinach that we needed to use up. I was like, okay, we got mustard grain, we got whole grain mustard, we got leeks, we got spinach, dice those up, saute the leeks with the mustard, a little white wine, some lemon juice, goat cheese to make it into a sauce. Threw the spinach in, let the spinach wilt it up, threw it all together, threw it on top of the pasta. It tasted fine, right, Mom?
Mm-hmm.
It tasted really good. Healthy, and you cleaned out your fridge, and it was easy.
Right. And
Wait, we have to memorize what we make? No, but a bronze one as a graduation.
oh, here it is.
Oh,
The
you're
mortar
talking
and
about
pestle.
you're
The
talking
mortar
about the
and
mortar.
pestle.
All right, we're boiling. We're almost boiling.
I like that cookbook. No, the idea, you don't necessarily memorize it, but if you make something often enough, you tend to remember what goes in it, and you don't always need to pull out the recipe.
And again, a recipe is a method, right? It's a list. It's a way of doing something. And like we've talked about when I did the, info streams on the OGL, some things are not subject to protection by copyright. Mechanics for games and recipes, which is why all of those like food bloggers give you this massive breakdown of their family history and this great story about what the recipe is in top of it, because they can copyright all of that and put that in the cookbook and then have that make money. But the actual just recipe, the individual steps that you do to make the dish, that's not subject to copyright protection.
The individual recipe is not. The compilation of how you put...
Of the order of things into the cookbook, that is copyrightable. Everything else around is copyrightable, but the basic recipe is not.
Right.
Here. And it smells like good.
We're boiling away here.
What is it?
Okay, just bring it to a boil. Stir in the cornstarch and let it simmer till the sauce is clear. Remove from heat and add the alcohol.
Should I leave the cinnamon stick in at this point?
Doesn't tell you not to.
Okay, then we'll leave the cinnamon stick in. I'm going to mix.
But you know what? You probably want to take the cinnamon stick out because it's going to get rocky.
That's what I was thinking. So we're going to take the cinnamon stick out. Yeah. Cinnamon stick. Cinnamon.
Use the small tongs you got over there. Oh. You got to see this, folks. This is creative.
I may have done this once or twice, because with a whisk, because I'm already using the whisk, and therefore, rather than dirty an additional item, get it to line up perfectly straight, and get the cinnamon stick through the whisk, and then pull it out that way. It's like I've done that before, but I need the whisk back.
I just need to take the cinnamon stick out.
Thank you.
Then when you pour the water and cornstarch in, you have to continuously stir so that it doesn't clump.
Yeah, it's one of those things you gotta pay attention to. Use a whisk seems pretty whiskey. No, that's what's going in later, Coldrake, didn't you hear? Reminds me of advice from our Latin teacher in class. You don't have to learn it, you just have to know it. Exactly. Learning it is the... Also, this will not be clear the way a white, because we're not using white sugar, we're using maple sugar, so this looks a lot more like maple syrup. Okay.
But it's going to be more clear than if you use something that you put cream in. It's not
Exactly.
a cream sauce.
No, but I'm just saying, when we say clear, this is
See-through.
see-through but brown. Because maple. But that smells really good right now. I need to check on you.
How long does it stir until the sauce is clear? Remove from heat and add the alcohol.
Clear.
Okay. The action of stirring it is what makes it look not clear.
Yeah, I just wanted to have that moment of... Alright, see now, this is going to be... Smells divine. I'm sorry, you can't smell this. Alright, so we do this, and then we put the bourbon in.
Put a tablespoon.
Okay, this is where I am going. That's a suggestion.
Okay. I would not put too much in, but you know.
sausage, kiddo. Because you're not just stirring down the ramen wondering, like, too soft to eat. Soft enough to eat, like, I mean, that is true. You kind of do need to know all of that, or where the information is written down. Also an important thing, if you can know where to find it, that is the important part.
That's right. It'll all be takeout.
So we'll let that continue. And like, I can feel it thickening still.
It's not going to.
Well,
It's going to stay thin.
it's going to stay thin, but you can feel the resistance that is
Right.
there. It's because the residual heat from the
Right.
continues. All right, so that's done. That can just sit and be happy.
Right. And ideally, you would spoon it over. You would take a serving of bread pudding, put it in a bowl, and spoon this over. It's too hot to do any of that with yet, and we're not ready to actually eat the bread pudding, so I don't want to pour anything over it because it'll get soggy. An alternative, if you don't want to go through the trouble of making the sauce to go with the bread pudding, what I have done is made homemade whipped cream, sprinkled either a little cocoa powder or some cinnamon over the top of the whipped cream, and passed that on the side of the bread pudding, or you can even spoon that on the individual servings.
But at this point, jambalaya is basically done. Bread pudding is done.
Mm-hmm.
Sauce is done. I think we're done for the day, Mom.
I think we are too.
I think we are. I think we should find someone to raid and send some love, but we'll do the ending spiel and all that good stuff. But thank you for hanging out with us this afternoon while we made some very fine luncheon, dinner.
Right. Do we want to show them what the jambalaya looks like? Stream?
I mean, it's going to have to sit for a little bit longer.
Right. But just, so people get an idea of what it looks like with the rice in there.
So if you will open the top, I will do this part.
Yeah.
Okay.
Ready? You have to pull it closer.
No. Yeah, just a little. That'll be good. Here we go. As you can see, jambalaya. We're going to need to add a little more liquid to it so it doesn't burn. But there you go. Beautiful jambalaya. Ah.
Yummo.
Smells divine. A little lighter because we didn't use a full massive jar of tomatoes, but that's okay. That's the way we like it. Alright, there we go. And then we'll go back to say goodbye to everybody here. Oh, Trooper made it online. We'll go raid Trooper then. But thanks everybody for hanging out. Thanks for chilling with us this afternoon. Thank you from all of us. Yeah, it's an early Mardi Gras. It cold, Drake. We needed les abondants brûlés, because it cold, we needed the psychological warming. Exactly. We will enjoy every bite of this and have all of the fun, but we will see you next time. I will actually see you in 4 hours when we come back with the next episode 3 of the Song of Agapia's Fortune, tonight here on the channel at 8 p.m. Eastern. That's my high-level D&D campaign. And then tomorrow, 8 p.m. Eastern, for more Season 5, the final season of Witcher Roads Home. Things are happening. There's a siege. It'll be great. You can also check my Twitter, where I post where I'm going to be and all the fun things I'm due around and people I hang out with. But if you want to, support the channel or do any of that good stuff, I have a Ko-Fi for that. You can also check out all the VODs of this cooking stream or any of the other ones that we do over on YouTube. They're great. They're all organized in nice little playlists to make your life easy. And if you want to check it out, the Nightbot just pulled it for you to tell you that there's a merch store now. You can check those out. Hoodies, t-shirts, some mugs. I'm going to get myself a mug because the mug looked really cool. That turned out really well. But that's it for us. So we're going to go have a good time. You should also have a good time. And until next time. You want to say goodbye?
Laissez les bon temps rouler.
All right.